This psycho took sick pleasure in strangling his infant cousin, baby sister, and another woman's 6-month-old daughter. The crazy part? He's only 8 years old, making Omarjit Sada the world's youngest serial killer. Did growing up in one of India's poorest communities push this kid to the breaking point, or was he simply born this way? Welcome to True Crime Recaps. I'm Amy. So no list of serial killers is complete without the worst, the oldest, and the youngest. Luis Garavito is the world's most prolific serial killer. In 1999, he confessed to the tortures, rapes, and murders of 147 children. Oh, and he's up for parole as of 2023. Baba Anoika is the world's oldest serial killer. She was arrested at 90 after poisoning upwards of 150 people in Serbia. But don't worry, she died before World War II. But what about the world's youngest serial killer? Well, that title goes to Omarjit Sada, an 8-year-old Indian boy who liked to strangle babies. Imagine looking at this kid, skin and bone, dirty shirt, innocent face. You'd feel terrible for him if you didn't know anything about him. This child's smile masks the face of pure evil. One psychiatrist called him a sadist with no sense of right or wrong. He took pleasure in watching 3 babies die. It made him happy. But what drives a kid like Amarjeet to commit such a heinous crime? He wasn't playing violent video games. He wasn't watching violent movies. He wasn't listening to true crime podcasts trying to plan the perfect murder. He's an interesting specimen in the nature versus nurture debate. Are serial killers born that way? Or are they a product of their upbringing? Amarjeet was born in 1998 in the Indian state of Bihar. He was an only child in a struggling family. Food and fresh water weren't luxuries they could easily afford. But by all accounts, Amarjeet was a normal kid growing up in India's poorest state. Over 50% of Bihar's population is multidimensionally poor. That's about 50 million people. They have the worst numbers when it comes to maternal and child health, housing, schooling, energy, and infrastructure. The phrase multidimensional poverty means poorer than poor. It means you have little to no access to education or basic needs like running water and sanitation. You also live below the international poverty line of about $2 a day. To put that in perspective, the U.S. poverty line is about $40 a day. When Omarjit was 7, his mother gave birth to a baby girl. Meanwhile, things were looking up for Amarjit's aunt. She just landed a new job in the city, but she needed someone to watch her newborn. Her sister, Amarjit's mother, was more than happy to babysit her 9-month-old niece. But one day, Amarjit's mother had to run to the market, so she left him in charge of watching his baby cousin and his baby sister. While she was gone, Amarjit looms over his cousin's crib and he begins hitting at her. Something about the baby's cries made the boy smile. And then he wraps his hands around the baby's throat and begins to squeeze. The baby cries and gasps for air, which only makes Amarjit squeeze tighter. The crying stops. His infant cousin is dead. A remorseless Amarjit walked the body into the woods and buried it behind their home. When his mother came home, Amarjit tells her what happened, and he's blunt about it too. When his father finds out, he allegedly beats his son, but neither parent wants to involve the police. Instead, they cook up a story about the baby dying in a tragic accident. But the following year, Amarjit sets his sights on his next victim, his baby sister. While his parents slept, Amarjit creeps over to her bed and strangles the baby to death. His mother wakes up when she hears her daughter's faint cries. She assumes the baby's hungry, but that's when she finds the lifeless body. Once again, Amarjit confesses to everything. According to his uncle, some family members knew about the boy's crimes, but nobody ever said anything. They just chalked it up to family matters. If they had gone to the police, they could have spared another innocent child. Not long after killing his sister, Amarjit stumbles on his 3rd victim outside his school, a sleeping 6-month-old girl. But when she returns, the baby is gone. She alerts the police. The investigation didn't take long because Amarjit confesses right away. He even leads the villagers to where he buried the body. According to our young serial killer, he stole the baby from the school and brought her into the woods. There, he strangled the infant and crushed her head with a brick. At the police station, Amarjit smiles a lot and he rarely speaks. When asked if he kills the baby, Amarjit allegedly says, "Give me a packet of biscuits and I'll tell you." Police were caught between a rock and a hard place. Under Indian law, anybody under 18 cannot be sent to jail or sentenced to death. Instead, Amarjit is sent to a children's home in the nearby town of Munger. He was supposed to stay there until he turned 18, but they let him go when he was 16. And as of 2023, Amarjit is a free man living under a new name somewhere in India. He'd be about 25 years old. There's no information about his time in the children's home or if he ever got medical treatment. Nobody knows what happened to him, where he is, or if he ever killed again. But maybe it's not a question of if. Maybe it's a question of when.
And that's your recap.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you like getting all the crime in half the time, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a story.
We're here Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but don't go away. Catch up on more recaps right here, right now.
Until next time, take care.